All right, and joining me today is Jakub Kaszuba, who fights Kane Mousah at PFL Europe 1. That fight is on March 7th. So, Jakub, I wanted to start by talking about your first season on PFL Europe because not only did you compete in it, 3-0, win the championship, you got the belt to go with it. What did it feel like getting that first season under your belt? And has it kind of sunk in that status of champion?
Ah, how did it feel? I couldn't even process the victory and enjoy it just because, I fought December 8th and now I'm marching March 7th, right? So that's like a 3 month turnaround. It honestly feels like a fourth fight of the season, right? Uh but yeah, so it's just like, okay, we're going back to the office, we're going back to training. So I didn't really have really time to really sit down and enjoy it. I had a nice little 3 week vacation after the fight, so that was nice, but other than that, it was straight back to the traiing.
So with your
So
with your with your 3 week vacation, did you get to go somewhere nice? Did you take a little bit of the winnings and splurge a little bit?
we I actually paid with it with my job money. I
Mm-hmm.
used the funds. I'm sorry, get out of here,
Oh,
Mr. I actually used the funds to buy a condo, but I used my actual job money to go on a cruise that we planned in the beginning of last year. We went with my sister and her 7 kids and my wife.
oh,
And yeah, we just went to the Bahamas now, so nothing special, pretty chill. But it was nice because on the cruise ship, I was tearing up the buffet. I was really making them suffer the consequences of my weight cutting of half of last year.
and is that usually what you do in between fights? Because I know obviously PFL makes it really hard to balloon up in between your fights or to splurge the day after. It's almost right back into
Yeah.
weight cutting. Did you used to be a guy who kind of went out and ate a little bit more?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm still that guy. I mean, after the Dublin fight, I got up to 195. So that's when Dan Hardy wrote to me. It was like, it was January 8th or 9th. He wrote to me. He was like, "Hey, March 7th fight." I'm like, "Are you asking me? Are you telling me?" I'm like, "Okay." I stepped on the scale. I was 195 pounds, and I was eating Cheetos at the time. So I was like, "You know what? I'm just gonna put those guys away." But yeah, I'm good on weight. I mean, this morning I was 170, so we're a week out, so that's perfect. That's easy cheesy lemon squeezy.
That's awesome to hear. Now, I got to ask too, because I love when fighters tell me that they're secret fatties in the off season, because I'm fatty all year round. So you got to tell me, how do you get it done when you decide, it's deciding the time to splurge a little bit? You're going to go eat. Is it snack food? Is it Cheetos? Or are you like, a big steak and a whiskey kind of guy?
Uh, yeah, I don't drink no more just because as a pro athlete, you can calorie wise, you can either drink or you can eat. So I'd rather have like 2 burgers and 2 cakes. That's where I. But yeah, I love burgers. I love pizza. Yeah, I'm more of like a hearty type of guy with food. Snack food is nice. Maybe a cookie here and there, but I want a burger. I want a pizza. That's what I want. That's what I'm coming for.
I love it. Well, you're back into fight camp now. You're back into losing weight. So let's talk a little bit about going back into another season of PFL Europe because, coming off of PFL Europe the first time, there is a nice prize to it, but there's also kind of a promise or kind of a thought of maybe, you win that season, you wind up in the PFL regular season, the global one.
Yeah.
Were you wanting another season in Europe? Were you wanting to maybe make that move over? What was sort of your thought when they came to you and said, let's do Europe again?
Uh, well, at first I want to go to the $1 million tournament because I thought I was gonna win it with the current PFL roster that I thought was gonna be there, right? So I was very excited for that. But then they brought the Belter guys in, right? And that's a whole different, in my point of view, level of competition. So that wasn't 100%. I'm gonna win this tournament anymore, right? So I'm glad I'm going back to Europe. I'm gonna get more experience, and by next year I'll be ready for those Bellator guys, and I can win another 100 grand, get another investment property for retirement, and yeah, I like it. It's going according to plans. So with everything that turned out and happened, I'm happy with going back to Europe.
Well, that's good to hear. Now, I also wanted to ask about just the slog of the PFL season because you mentioned quick turnaround between the first and second season, but in between fights, we're not talking about a lot of time here, right? Like some guys like to take a break, like to heal up injuries, like even if it's something small. For you personally, what was that first season like on your body, taking 3 fights in that short period of time with kind of no wiggle room for your fight days?
Uh it's nice and it sucks, right? It's hard with the weight cut because you gotta eat real healthy. But yeah, by the last fight, it was pretty grueling with the weight cut. I was like, damn, I don't want to do this again. It kind of sucked, and I didn't have any injuries from the first two fights, which was nice. Right after this last one, I had to take pretty much three and a half weeks off. I couldn't train. So that's another factor, right? So what I like about the PFL format as in a whole is it really produces a consistent athlete, right? Because you got to know how to train, you got to know how to eat, you got to be consistent. You can't just fight twice a year and do one big weight cut, and you can't be a weight bully, which is nice. It really forces you to kind of you can't really blow up that much, right? I blew up to 195, but I was in the best shape of my life, and I lost it in it was mostly bloating, right? Lost it pretty easily, but yeah, it's definitely got to carry yourself very well to continue to fight. You know, 2 to 3 months turnaround, right?
That makes
Uh,
that makes a lot of sense. Now, I wanted to also ask you, before we get to talking about this fight with Kane Mousah, because that's what everybody came here for. I love hearing stories about how people get their nicknames, and there's 7 hitmen out there, and everybody's Pitbull, and like everybody's got the same nickname. There's only one auditor. There's only one
yeah.
auditor out there. I got to know, how did you wind up with the name the Auditor, and why is it stuck as your fight nickname?
Well, at first I was the boar, right? Because in Poland, I'm Polish, so our top predator is the boar. So when you see a boar in the forest, you're like, oh shit, I might die. Because boars are big and scary in
Yeah.
Poland, but a lot of Americans and Floridians didn't. Boars here in Florida are kind of a pest.
Yeah.
They're little pigs that are just not scary at all. And I'm an auditor for the state of Florida. I'm a CPA. That's my day job, right?
Mhm.
And people are just like, man, the auditor, that's pretty cool. Just came up in one of the conversations, and it was right around that time that movie with Ben Affleck came out, and everyone was like, and everyone enjoyed that movie, right? It was like the auditor, he was like a hitman and an auditor. So yeah, that's sort of how it came to be, and I started hearing it more and more, and I was like, you know what, that sounds original. I like it, and a lot of people really, really like it. Even the Polish ones. They prefer the auditor to the boar. Oh.
I dig it as well. I dig it as well. So now let's talk a little bit about this fight with Kane Mousah. Obviously, he's a guy who brings kind of an exciting fight style. You mentioned the high level of Bellator. He himself is a Bellator vet. So, like, what did you think when they came to you with the name Kane Mousah? And, like, what did you think about, the stylistic matchup?
He's small and he's old, so I think it's gotta be my hardest fight of the tournament. I don't think so. I fought guys. I fought way harder guys. I believe. So I'm gonna go in there. I'm gonna do my job, and I'm gonna audit. He's gonna get audited. I'm gonna bring him back to reality.
Well, I usually like to end these things. You seem to almost be leaning to telling me anyway, so I'll get the question in there before you do. I love to end
Yeah.
these things with a prediction. Tell me how this one ends on March 7th when it goes down.
I'll finish him in the second round.
Got anything special for me? Just finish.
Just finish. I mean, I'm so good everywhere. I gotta. I'll see where he struggles, right, and that will become as the fight goes on. But
All
I believe I'm better in everything from striking to wrestling to everything. I'm a
right.
new level fighter. He's the old guard. So thank you for his time, but it's time for the new.
All right. Well, you heard it here first, folks. This has been Jakub Kaszuba, who fights Kane Mousah. PFL Europe won that fight once again, March 7th. Jakub, thank you so much for the time. I really appreciate it.
Hey, thank you for your time. It was great.